Welcome to a special edition of the Sick Podcast Collab here. I'm JC Allen, host of Pirate Parlay. With me is Jarett and Vinny from Talking Titans. We're going to get everything going from the game, ask about Will Levis, his stretch of game. We're going to get into Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. It's all going to be right here coming at you live here on the Sick Podcast Network. It's going to be sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Wow.
I got to give that
intro,
to you. That's quite the intro. I love the background.
Yeah, I think Sal's got some competition for number one intro on the Sick Pod.
That is
Gotta love the roadcaster, man. I've been dying to do that live. It's like my radio voice. Like, welcome. We're back here at K405 playing the hits. I'm your DJ JC Allen, spinning the latest of 2000s, 20s, and today.
Wow. Heard the wrong line of work.
Listen, I wish I was going to Tampa with you this weekend so I can have beer with this guy because he is a ball so far.
It's gonna.
It looks like you throw him back. You look like you throw him back. Straight butt heavies too. I bet.
A couple cold ones here and there. You know.
Yeah. You look like a butt heavy guy.
You know, I'm a Yingling guy since I moved.
I was gonna say that.
You know,
that's a real beer right there
down here. So
that's a real beer, Yingling. That's a little heavy for my liking, but that's a man's beer.
Yeah, it's Yingling flights when you're on like watching your calories and stuff like that. When I go on diets for like a couple minutes and then I'm like, food's too good, and I switch back over. That's not why we're here, though. I'm JC Allen, Pirate Parlay. We've got Vinny and Jarett talking Titans, and we're going to be talking Titans. We're going to be talking Bucs, so let's dive right into it. We'll get some shenanigans. Our producers are saying us 30 minutes tops, but I don't know about you guys. I never go 30 minutes. I'm always over. So we'll see where it lands. But the news of the NFL here today is 10 rookies making starts in the NFL this week. One of them is Will Levis, who, besides putting mayonnaise in his coffee and eating bananas with a peel on, has done some things the last 2 weeks. Talk to me about Will Levis. He's had 6 good quarters of football, maybe 6 good quarters in a play he'd like to have back. But what's going on with Will Levis? We heard Vrabel say that he's going to be the guy going forward. Talk to me about him.
I mean, Jarett and I were skeptical when we drafted him. We thought there was limited, good tape on him. His senior year or his last year in college wasn't all that great. The year before was a little better, where he had some more talent around him. The fact that they traded up for him, made us a little nervous because you traded up 2 picks to move to the beginning of the second. The guy better be worthwhile. You could set yourself back if he's not the guy. And we've been trying to find the guy for a while.
Very long time.
And I say this with cautious optimism. I think we found the guy. He by far exceeded expectations when he came in. I think he needed to do exactly what he did for guys like Jarett and I to believe in him. And he did it confidently. He looked calm, cool, collected. He looked poised. He looked like as ready as any rookie quarterback has looked, in my opinion. He was making checks at the line that turned out to, work in our benefit. And that play you alluded to at the end of the game where he threw that interception, he also drove his 70 yards in about 45 seconds to get us down there. And he was trying to win that game. And let's be honest, we have limited talent around him. Treylon Burks, we hope he gets healthy, but he's looking like a bust. DeAndre Hopkins is good, but he is also 30-something years old. He's getting a lot of targets right now. Nick Westbrook-Akina is more of a 3 receiver than he is a 2. This young kid, Kyle Phillips, is starting to play a little better. Will Levis seems to have a connection with him. And then our running back situation, of course, we have the king and whatnot, but we don't really we're not surrounding him with, an arsenal of weapons, a great offensive line. So the fact that he did what he did with what he has, I mean, he won us over. And listen, he could put mayonnaise wherever he wants for the rest of his life if he continues to play like this and lead us to our first, Super Bowl victory. So with cautious optimism, I think he's the real deal. I think sometimes things could be like, an anomaly where like, okay, it was an outlier like Mariota's first game, but I mean, they were still trying to help him run like an Oregon offense with the read option, and he never could drive the ball downfield. And his debut was good, but we also kind of knew he wasn't sooner rather than later, we knew he wasn't a killer. Will Levis looks like he can be a bit of a killer. I mean, he's got a crazy release. He plays with confidence. He look calm, cool, collected, poised. I mean, he showed you all the signs of what a good quarterback should look like early and often. And we expect there to be some growing pains. That's normal. But from what he's shown us, I mean, his ceiling is sky high. So I'll pass it over to Jarett, and he could.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so Jarett, I guess my question for you then is 6 quarters of football out there. There's tape on him now.
Yep.
You know, we've seen what happens when rookie quarterbacks can get tape out there. Now guys can figure out how to defend him. Obviously, Bowles did not figure out how to defend C.J. Stroud very well last week, but you got to imagine that the defense is going to play as bad. Bowles is going to have adjustments or game plan, and not going to want to lose 2 straight in a game I think the Bucs think they should win. With tape on him right now, what is the biggest concern with Will Levis going forward now that teams can watch things and see, what he's doing out there?
There is no concern. He's the best.
To me, like Vinny said, me and him, we both kind of see Will Levis as the same person. I'm not going to reiterate what he just said because I agree everything what he just said. But going forward now, he mentioned it in the press conference this week that there is tape on me now, but he has to stay the course. He has to be consistent. He knows what he has to do. He knows defense are going to be throwing different stuff at him and coverages and blitzes and stunts here and there every week. So he's got to stay the course consistently. The only thing that's holding us back right now is like what Vinny said with skill players. Okay. We see all the, we don't have that many skill players surrounding him, just an aging DeAndre Hopkins, who is still a 1A receiver. Treylon Burks is the bust, like Vinny said, and Chig has not been the tight end that we thought he was going to be coming into this season. But you hear guys, just to touch on Will Levis even more, you hear guys in the media saying that, Will Levis is, he is that guy. He's not going to throw 4 touchdowns every week. I mean, that was just like you're sitting on a couch and we're just sitting there. It's like almost orgasmic to watch that we have a franchise quarterback, and you hear guys like Peyton Manning, putting his neck out on the line for him, saying Will Levis is the best quarterback in this class that came out. He's great. I didn't believe it, Vin. Like he said, we didn't believe it at first, but seeing it firsthand this week and hearing stuff like he changed the culture in Kentucky when he was the quarterback over there. He's the franchise guy. He's a motivator in the huddle. He gets the guys going. Just seeing that and now seeing it live in person on the field as a Titans fan, it's definitely rewarding to us because we've been looking for that guy. And Tannehill was that guy for a little bit for us to get us over the hump, those 9-7 teams that we've had for a while. And now I think with the $100 million, like I keep saying, for next year, this year is kind of like almost like a wash. Not that I'm like giving up on the season or not, but we have our guy now. Let's see what he does. If he wins us 7 games, that's great. But we have the $100 million like everybody is doing around the NFL nowadays, that they're surrounding their young quarterback with a lot of talent. We have to go after a line for him to protect him. We have to get him wide receivers and a tight end. So I think the future is bright with him, and what he's doing right now, it exceeds my expectations. But to hit on your question again, is just stay consistent. He needs to stay consistent.
Now you look at this offense, it pretty much Will Levis is obviously the guy snapping the ball, calling the plays, and making things go, or at least, transferring the plays, making the things go. But it's always been a Derrick Henry-led offense. He's always been the guy that this team thrives upon. The offensive line is not good compared to prior seasons. But you also got Tyjae Spears, who in the beginning of the season was out snapping Henry, just being out in the field, snap percentage-wise more. Where is Derrick Henry now in this stage of his career, and how much does Tyjae Spears kind of factor into what they do offensively?
Vin, before you go real quick, everyone's like throwing shade on Derrick Henry a little bit. He's quietly sneaking into the top 5 in rushing right now, quietly with a terrible offensive line. He has a great counterpart in Tyjae Spears, who we love, and Vinny vouched for him in the beginning of the season. Tyjae Spears is a great compliment that we've always wanted.
From day one when we drafted him.
He's a great compliment for him because he can come out, take a breather, and he can still hit the home run with Tyjae Spears. He's great out of the backfield. So, I mean, to me, Henry hasn't lost a step, and I want him to retire a Titan. So,
yeah, I mean, I understand from an outsider's perspective because they're not talking about him every week. He hasn't had, that 200-yard 3-touchdown game, I guess, yet so far this year. But he's quietly had a very good last few years, even with the injury. He came back from that and had 1,900 all-purpose yards. Nobody wants to talk about that last year. 13 touchdowns. This year he's on pace for I believe 1,200 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns. And he might not have the same speed he had for someone his size, but he could still play 100%. We know how bad this line not only has been, this year, but in years past as well. And I would love nothing more for him to resign here after this year on a short, 2-year deal, maybe worth 10, 12 million. I think he's not going to get the number he thinks he's going to get on the market because he's going to be 31 next year. He's got some, not much tread left on the tires, according to some people. So he's not going to get a big number. I'd love to bring him back on a short-term deal. Would love for him to retire as a Titan. Tajay Spears is a great compliment to him. I think they do need to get him more integrated into the offense, like you said at first, JC. The first few weeks they used him a lot. We thought they'd use him a lot, but we were surprised at how often they were using him. At the start, it seems like it slowed down the last few weeks, but I think we're going to get him more involved as the year goes on. And the running back position has never really been an issue for the Titans. It was always the quarterback position. So, listen, I love Derrick Henry. You're never going to get me to speak ill of him. I'm glad we kept him. And I think if we retool correctly next year with $100 million in cap space, you could turn it around fast in the NFL. Look at the Bengals. They were trash forever. They got Burrow. They got Chase. They almost won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, almost went back there last year. You go out in free agency, and if you hit it on the head and you do well in the draft in the first 3-4 rounds, you could turn it around fast. So I'd like him to stay and, maybe take another run at things next year. Hopefully this year, we stay competitive, but we know next year is the year to make a splash. So you asked us about our quarterback, our running back. You guys had an interesting sign in the offseason. I didn't really see Baker Mayfield going to Tampa. I was a bit surprised. And to be honest, I think he's looked better than most people had thought he would. I always liked Baker. I think he got the raw end of the deal in Cleveland. I think they were irrelevant until he showed up. And in Carolina, it is what it is, what happened there. But he's looked more than competent. Do you think there's a chance he's the future for the Bucs? Has he warranted at least to come back next year? Because you guys are also in a precarious situation as well, where you have some aging talent on offense, a quarterback who kind of similar to Art Tannehill the last few years is good, but kind of needs talent around them. You know what I mean? How do you feel about Baker in general? And, do you think he has deserved a shot to be the guy there going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely echo your sentiments there about the Browns and Carolina. I mean, guys had 8 head coaches and 7 offensive coordinators going into their 6th year. It's not a recipe for success. And Carolina was more of a owner saying, let's get Baker. Didn't fit the system, didn't fit the scheme, anything like that. But I think Baker's played pretty well within the confines of things. Is there throws that he's missed? Is there, passes that he would have liked to have back or progressions that he would have liked to have back? Yeah, but he's playing safe football right now. He's taking the check down, hitting the open guy. They're just starting to incorporate a little bit more deep throws down the field for him. But again, I think this team, with a new offensive coordinator and everyone's still learning this system, it's a system that Baker, has the ability to thrive in. I think they're really kind of missing that running game, which will help alleviate a lot of pressure off Baker and open up a lot of things. The running game has been pretty abysmal right now. It's gotten a little bit better, but I mean, they're still 30th in rushing yards per game at 78 yards per game. It's not good. They've been utilizing Rashad White out of the backfield, and Baker's been really good at hitting him. Last 3 games, he's been targeted and hasn't made any drops and has, really made some huge plays for them as a weapon out of the backfield. And Baker's been able to locate him. And like I said, he's more the pocket's giving him plenty of times. The wide receivers are separating. At times it's, just taking the first progression instead of letting routes develop, which is good and bad, right? Because you're leaving chunk plays on the field, but you're getting a quick 6 yards, a quick 7 yards. So I think fans' gripes with Baker is they watch the tape, they watch the All-22, and they see these guys open up down the field and Baker's checking it down or Baker's not seeing it, or his pocket presence. While he's made some absolutely Houdini-type escapes from the pocket and escapes from sacks, he's also sacked himself like 4 times this season just by getting too frantic. It seems like, there's times where he panics in the pocket, and that takes away some of his vision. So all in all, I think they've been impressed with him. And really, if he's going to come back, it really depends on what happens with this Bucs team. The NFC South is wide open. They're 3-5. They've got a must win after losing four straight at home against the Titans this week. If they can turn the season around, finish around 9-8, get to that NFC Championship, NFC South Championship divisional title, and Bowles keeps his job, there's a good chance that they'll probably bring him back on I would say a team-friendly deal. I don't know if it'd be a long-term deal because I think Bowles is on a year-to-year basis right now with his contract. He's after last week's performance. It's, if he was a defensive coordinator, he probably would have been booted. But since he's the head coach, so there's a lot of intangibles that go on. Does he continue to play good? Does he continue to play turnover-free? Does the head coach stay? Where are they in the draft? Are they at 19? Because they finished the worst record in the playoffs again this year. And they're in maybe striking distance of Michael Penix or Bo Nix that fall into the early, top, right out of the top 10, those early 11, 12, 13 numbers. They make a deal to trade up to. There's a lot kind of weighing whether he's going to be return as a quarterback for the Bucs, but it's definitely a opportunity, definitely a possibility. It depends on all the factors I just laid out.
I want to talk about the game a little bit for you guys now. We struggle kind of, when we get in the red zone. We don't know really with Will Levis is going to do right now in the red zone. This game is very telling to you guys, but your defense has been pretty solid for the most part in the red zone. And you got some big body names on there. Vita Vea, you got John Tyrone, right?
Joe Tryon-Shrinka.
Joe, whatever. Yeah, I know. There was no way I was pronouncing that name.
Just call him JTS.
All I know is he's got 3 sacks. Shaq Barrett's got 3. Vita Vea's got 3.5. And you got a list on and on. But those 3 guys can really get after the quarterback. Plus, your defense has 7 interceptions. So you really, can create turnovers for us. How do you guys see us? But you're very light. Besides Vita Vea, you're very light on the defensive line too. So, we struggle on the offensive line. I think it's a kind of step-up game for our offensive line, too, against your defensive line. So, you were talking about Derrick Henry before. How would you be able to stop us on the defensive side of the ball for you guys to win this game?
You guys got to take care of Vita Vea first and foremost. He is a monster, man. He's going to take up 2 blockers. The Bucs' run defense has been great this season. They've had that one game where they let up a lot of points, a lot of yards to over 200 yards to the Eagles. But other than that, they're 9th in the league, only allowing 92 yards per game. Vita Vea is a problem. He is a massive man problem. But not only him, you've got Kalijah Kancey, who they took in the first round. He had 3 tackles for a loss and a sack last week. He can penetrate in the backfield. A lot of, there's a lot of question marks because of his size. How does he hold up in run support? So far, so good. He's been able to put pressure on the quarterback, get in the backfield to make tackles for losses on the running back. You've got Levante David, who sees, reacts. You got Devin White, who, when he's making tackles, is one of the fastest guys on the defensive side of the ball that can, see the running back, get the running back. So not only that, you mentioned the edge guys, Shaq and JTS, who are the starters. They set the edge very well for outside linebackers. So there's there's multiple ways that they can. Antoine Winfield Jr. is one of the best safeties in run support. Their corners are really good in run support. So they've got the Titans have a really uphill battle if they're going to try to use Derrick Henry and run with him. I know he's one of the best in the league, and he can break tackles, he can truck stick guys, he can do all the things that you want from a running back. But the Bucs can shut it down, and that's going to be the game plan: to shut it down and make Levis beat you with old man D-Hop and make him beat you.
Whoa.
Old man D-Hop. I didn't say anything that's not true. You called him old in the beginning of the podcast.
You said he was old, but he still was 1A.
Yeah,
he's 1A. He's still
you're talking to my boy all wrong.
Nico Collins is 1A for the Texans. What are we doing here? His separation has been trashed this year. Look at any advanced
coverage. He's got no one.
He's got no one that can throw him open. He has had Ryan Tannehill throwing him the ball.
That's Ryan's quarterback is not on the wide receiver for separation. That's on him. He can't separate.
You got to be able to throw a receiver open sometimes too. He had no ability to do. He was statuesque. He was old and frantic, and
I can pull up the numbers right here on D-Hop's separation this season.
I'm not because I'm a gentleman and Mike Evans is older. I'm not going to call him Old Man Evans because he can still produce as well.
They're about putting up the same touchdown numbers. They almost have. What does Hopcat have?
3.
You got to look beyond the stats, you know.
No, he's got how many?
No, he's only got 3 touchdowns. He had him in the same game.
3 touchdowns. I'm talking about yardage wise.
Well, that's speaking of your offense, that's what I was going to ask you. And by the way, obviously every team's goal when they play the Titans is to stop Derrick Henry. We go as 22 goes, but it's a new day in Tennessee. We have a quarterback who can beat you throwing the ball. So I think you'll see a decent mix of both. I think
6 quarters, man.
I think that's all I needed. That's all I needed to see. I mean, that's all I needed to see.
Yeah, I'm a little more hesitant than you guys, and I like Will Levis coming out.
Yeah, well, stop trying to throw a rain on our parade right now, and realize that William Donovan Levis is here, and he's here to stay.
If he puts up another game like he did against Pittsburgh, and that was on coaching, we should have won that game in Pittsburgh. So let's not get that twisted right now.
Yeah, that was on a short week traveling, in
a huge environment.
Yeah.
And he put up like 30 points in a loss. He's put up 16 points.
Yeah, but you know what? They took the ball out of his hands at the 50-yard line with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah,
listen,
they ran the ball.
They rolled on Levis. I think he looks good. I was excited.
You're gonna see him bright. You're gonna see him on Sunday fixing his tie at the press conference after.
Yeah, we will see. But listen, if you stop Henry, obviously it makes things easier for you. Absolutely. He's a running back who needs carries in volume to get going, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Vita Vea is on the other end of a Derrick Henry stiff arm at a certain point.
You're crazy.
Yeah, I'm crazy.
You can say like Ryan Neal, or maybe even Devin White to an extent. But Vita Vea,
that's a big boy.
I'm always
bring it back from fanatical and bring it back to breaking down the realisticness of the game.
I'm always a pot stirrer, always. So I don't care how big Vita Vea is. I'm going to let you know that Derrick Henry's cut from a different cloth. And I mentioned Mike Evans before, old man Evans, who's still producing at a high level. I'm a gentleman, so I'll give the man his flowers. So how do you guys envision attacking us? Because we're banged up in the secondary. I don't know if McCreary's playing this week. A former Buck, Murphy Bunting, is out this week. The strength of our defense is also our defensive line. Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, Harold Landry, Arden Key.
They're not going to run it. They're not going to try. Yeah. I mean, they're going to try to run it. So that's the maddening point of it. But they're going to.
So do you see you guys trying to take advantage of the fact we're a little thin in the secondary, and last week Baker seemed like he was, throwing the ball downfield a little more than he had been the weeks prior?
They'll try those. They'll definitely utilize the short game with the wide receivers and those intermediate throws and. Getting some speed outs and some wolf concepts and different stuff like that. They'll utilize a lot of play action. They're not going to completely abandon the run because Jeffrey Simmons is there. But they've been phenomenal in pass protection. So I wouldn't expect a sack-heavy game from the Titans unless Baker is sacking himself like he did last week. But I think, they'll take advantage of that secondary. I mean, Amani Hooker has been playing pretty good for you guys. I still can't believe, you guys traded Kevin Byard for a pack of peanuts and a washing machine. But you've got some good guys on the edge. Unfortunately, they've got 2 of the best tackles in the league right now, according to Pro Football Focus, and Luke Gedeke and Tristan Wirfs. But they'll give them problems. But I think utilizing the back out of the backfield in the flat on quick passes is something they'll do. I think utilizing those short to intermediate passing game and then taking the shots when the shots open up there for them. If Sean Murphy Bunting is in the game, if he does play, they'll definitely attack him.
He's not playing. No.
That's unfortunate because we know all of his weaknesses and we definitely exploit those.
You know what bothers me about that? Like, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars, and anybody can say anything they want. But you're a cornerback, and we needed you last week, and you went out of the game with a thumb injury. You can't tape your thumb and play cornerback.
You're talking about Sean Murphy Bunting?
But anybody in general, But I'm just saying, you can't tape your thumb.
Great guy off the field. Very philanthropic. Does a lot of charity stuff, a lot of, things like that. Great guy off the field. On the field, he's made of glass and is in the wrong spots at times and is not a turnover machine. Yeah, 3 interceptions in that Super Bowl run up and then disappeared ever since.
Yeah.
Great guy, though. Personally, I love him, But just
to touch on what you were talking about with your tackles and everything like that, Vin, I wanted to bring this up to you. Even if we did have a solo show with me and you today, we've been struggling on the edge right now, setting the edge.
Same.
It's just been god awful for us. We thought we were going to have Arden Key and Harold Landry come back, and it's just going to be what happened in 2019, where we just had 9 sacks every game, and it's just not happening right now. But Vin, really quick, not to hijack the podcast.
Hijack it.
You saw, and you listened to our outside linebacker coach talk about being the pressure's not really being there. Where has been Gibson and where has been Caleb Murphy? We've been pounding the table all year for these guys to start playing. Arden Key is not setting the edge. He's not getting to the quarterback. Harold Landry has still not looked the same since he came off the ACL injury. Where are these guys? Why aren't they not getting more playing time? Especially Gibson, who has really out-pressured Harold Landry this year so far with the limited snaps that he has. So, I mean, we got to get stuff going if we want to generate pressure here, and those 2 guys generate pressure. So I don't know what the coaching staff is looking at.
I mean, I wish Sal was on here so he can just go on a Vrabel rant, but you have to blame coaching, I guess, and their stubbornness and their unwillingness to change. I mean, we've seen what this defense can do and how they can get after people. I'm not as frustrated with the defensive line. They've been getting the short end of the stick all season. Our offense hasn't been able to stay on the field. Their defense is out on the field every few minutes, it seems like. And eventually it's a bend, don't break mentality, but they're also humans. And, eventually you put enough pressure on someone, they will break. And I feel like our defensive line's been a victim of that. Not saying they can't play better, but I think the potential is still there. Jeffrey Simmons is a top 3 defensive tackle in the league, in my opinion. I still think Harold Landry is still coming back from that ACL. I still think Arden Key can play. But, yeah, I mean, why not give a guy like Caleb Murphy a shot, who was an undrafted Division II guy from Ferris State who broke all those records, showed out in the preseason, had, 4 or 5 sacks. I'd love to see him get a chance. Same with Gibson. But, listen, it's a victim of stubborn coaching. I mean, we've seen it for years now, from giving the loyalty to Todd Downing for 2 years, and it seems like Tim Kelly isn't much different. We make changes and we make them internally. So who knows who's calling the shots when it comes to that, but I still have faith in this line. I think we'll get after Baker, force him to make a few mistakes like we know he is prone to do at times. So not to hijack it, but yeah, I'm not too worried about the defensive line. I'm really not. I think it's still the strong point of our defense. I'll tell you that much. If our defensive line struggles, it's going to be a long day Sunday.
It looks like they rotate them out pretty, often. I mean, looking at last week's snap counts,
I think last week was an outlier though, because it's on a short week, and I think last week you're trying to get more guys in there who might have had fresher legs on that 4-day turnover.
I mean, let's go 2 weeks back for you. Tell you what the snap counts were.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens Sunday, but they have to show up, they have to show out, and you alluded to it, JC. The running game for the Bucs isn't all that great, so
it's not even that. It's more or less that if we're not getting to the quarterback, and Baker's kind of smart right now. He's got 12 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I'm very surprised what he's doing with the Buccaneers. And I thought you guys were one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, you guys are in every single game. You got a very tough defense. Baker is really doing his job right now. But you do have Rashad White. Am I saying that right? Rashad White. He's leading. He's second behind Christian McCaffrey receiving for running back. So he says if he feels the pressure, he's just going to dink and dunk it. That's what scares the shit out of me this week against the Buccaneers.
Most broken tackles too out of any running back.
He scares me with that, with his elusiveness in the backfield. So if Baker's going to see it and he sits right behind a linebacker, especially for blitzing or anything like that, it's the screens and the little dinks and ducks at a running back.
Yeah, and I mean the lack of turnovers for your secondary too. I mean, if they're doing that,
2 interceptions all year, it's a joke.
Those opportunities. But I know producers in the background probably telling us to wrap it up. So before we get out of here, I just want to ask you guys a few things before we get into score predictions. But all right, the biggest weakness on offense for this Titans team for the Bucs to exploit.
Our line. I would try to get in the face of a young quarterback Sunday. To play devil's advocate, if I'm the Bucs, I try and get in his face all day. Attack us every which way. This offensive line is a revolving door of players that can look good one week and look god awful the next. We're a little banged up. I would try and get pressure on a young quarterback early and often. I do think you're going to see a heavy load from Henry and Tajay Spears earlier in the game to set things up downfield, but if I'm the Bucs, I'm trying to get after this young quarterback who, like you said, has played, 8 quarters of football so far.
And then on the flip side, the Bucs are on offense. What are they doing to exploit that defense of yours?
Exploit our defense. Throw the ball, because like I said, our defensive line has been really good. Jeffrey Simmons and T.R. Tart in the middle with D'Amico Autry. I think we're gonna. You guys, you already said it. 78 yards. You're not running on us, so Baker's gonna have to put the ball in his hands and throw it to Mike Evans, the big target, and Chris Godwin and Otten. Right, and your tight end. He's a big guy. He almost has 300 yards. He has 3 touchdowns. A huge red zone target. So you guys get in the red zone. I'm not too keen on our linebackers either. Covering linebackers even in the red zone. And with Kevin Byard not there anymore, I'm not a big believer in Molden. And the only one back there is really Hooker. So if you really want to exploit us, you got to throw the ball against us.
Yeah, I think the Bucs have the 31st ranked pass defense right now. So it could be an aerial show. It could be a high scoring, back and forth type game, which we would love to see. It's a breath of fresh air to see a team air it out a little bit and score close to 30 points. That's a rare occurrence for us. But what do you think, JC, your prediction will be? Of course, your non-biased prediction for this upcoming game on Sunday.
I am totally non-biased because I got no dog in the race here. I cover the Bucs. I'm not a fan of the Bucs. Wish for success because it means my job's a lot easier. But I think this is a must-win game for the Bucs. I look at the way these two teams line up. Bucs don't run well, anyways. The Titans have surprisingly let up. They're not terrible against the run, but they're right in the middle of the pack, 19th. 114 yards per game. They're actually better against the pass than they are against the run, but down corners this week. I think the Bucs can take advantage of that dink and dunk. If they can get the production they got out of the running game last week, which is around 80 yards, I think that will be enough. Obviously, they'd want to do more, but I think that will be enough to keep the defense honest and really set up, make the play action more effective. You don't need running game to set up play action, but to make it more effective. I think that, they can attack that secondary on the defensive side. They've got to be able to get home against the porous offensive line. They really have had trouble bringing pressure, getting home with 4. And even when they blitz, they're opening up different alleyways for quarterbacks to beat them. We saw that with Stroud early on in the game. They were trying to do some blitzing, and he was still beating them, so they backed off in the second half. Bowles has got to get his head out of his butt and stop playing soft zone coverage, because of the lack of the pressure that the Bucs are getting on defense and them playing 10 yards off. It's allowing quick completions for the quarterback when the pressure is starting to get there. So they've got 2 of the best man coverage cornerbacks in the game. If both of them play, which are questionable right now with injury, you've got to utilize them more in man coverage. You got to utilize them more what their strengths are. I understand that there's other guys in the back end that their strength isn't man coverage, but you got to play some sort of man zone and let these guys get their hands and get physical on wide receiver, especially a guy like DeAndre Hopkins who's struggling with separation, and you can get physical with him and knock him off his routes. And we've seen it in the past when you do that, there's times where he, is taken out of ball games. So, or at least very limited out of ball games. So not many weapons. You got to play to your cornerback strengths to allow them to get those dominate in coverage to allow pressure more time to get home. If they can do that, if they can hit those quick passes, if they can hit those intermediate shots against a banged up secondary, if they can hit those occasional deep throws, play clean football, no turnovers, and not beat themselves with penalties, the Bucs should roll, I think. I think this should be an easy victory for them, coming out mad, aggressive, and knowing that they need to win this game or they're losing 5 straight. I think they can put up somewhere around 27 points, maybe close to 30 on this defense. And they've been outside of last week, they're holding teams to only 18 points a game. That's jumped up now to 20 points a game with that high average, but still 16th in the league. If they can hold the Titans to around, who have scored on average, 18 points themselves, which is good for 24th in the league. If they can score, keep the Titans to 17 points, 20 points, that should be a game the Bucs should win. Coming off of 4 consecutive losses.
See, that's the old Tennessee Titans with the 17 points per game.
That's before the 6 quarters of Will Levis.
That is the old Titans right now.
8 quarters. Come on.
Yeah, 8 quarters of that. I think, listen, this team, we didn't lose 5. We haven't lost 5 straight, but we are 13. What was it? Been 13 of 14 of 16 now, or
Nah,
13 of
we're
13 of 15.
We're 3-12 in our last 15 dating
Yeah,
back to last year.
so we are hungry for wins. We have a motivation for a quarterback now. Everyone seems to want to be playing around Will Levis. The offense looks a lot better right now with him driving down the field. I have confidence in him. In a first and 23 or third and 23? I talked about it last week. He was in the Pittsburgh's end zone and shut that crowd right up, zing the ball right down to a post to DeAndre Hopkins making a completion. So I have all the faith in the world right now in our offense. I think the play action, they're going to utilize it with Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears. I think we're going to move the ball on you guys. I think the line, even though Brunskill is hurt, Dylan Ray-Doones is going to play a tackle, Vin. I think he's going to play a tackle this week because Vrabel does not want to, he plays chess match. Everyone gets pissed off, including Sal and everybody on the podcast. He sits up there being, all angry and shit. He doesn't want to play his hand. I think that Dylan Ray-Doones or Ray Duns, whatever the hell his name is, he's going to play a tackle this week, and he's going to have a major role in this game. So I think we have no problem against the Buccaneers this week. I'm going to go 27-23 Titans.
Yeah, JC, you didn't give us your actual score prediction. We need an actual score prediction first.
Let's do 27-17.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go more obviously on Jared's side. Obviously, of course, non-bias. But I think this is a different Titans team. You're not gonna roll over us. You're not. I just don't see it. We had the short bye week last week. We've had 11 full days. Will Levis looked great against Atlanta. On a short week, we came up short on the road against a very good team that has been good for a while with the top defense and a tough place to play. We have had 11 days off to, get ourselves healthy. I think it's going to be a close game. It could go either way. You never know with these Titans. They never make it easy, but this is a reinvigorated team with a new young quarterback who seemed to have,
that was a $5 word right there.
Yeah, it was. Listen, I didn't get a 4-year degree in 5.5 years for nothing. All right, Jarett. So I think we're going to come out hungry. I think we're going to come out attacking you guys, and I think it's going to be – I want to use the word shootout because I don't think we're going to drop 40 on you, but I think it's going to be 30-27 Titans.
Is that a Nick Folk game-winning field goal?
It could be. Listen, don't jinx him now, but we haven't missed all year. Good old Nick Folk. So
the Bucs hasn't missed all year either. He's got him blocked, but he hasn't missed them.
It's going to be a close game. It always is with the Titans. Yeah. We don't make life easy ever. I feel like the Bucs are a similar team. Aside from those Brady years, you guys were pretty, up and down the last decade or so. So I think it's going to be a close game. Both teams need the win for sure. We're 3-5, just like you guys. If we want to keep pace in the AFC wildcard race, and if you guys want to keep pace in your division, it's a must-win for both teams. So I'm going a tight 3-point victory, 30-27.
Wait, you didn't even bring up the most important thing on Sunday. You're gonna be in attendance at the game on Sunday. You're 1-0 this year.
My first game ever at Raymond James Stadium. I've seen these Titans all over Baltimore, Jersey, Philly, Tennessee a few times. This will be my first time down in Tampa to see them. I'm looking forward to it and get out of this the Northeast fall that's now turning into a winter.
Yeah, it's been a little chilly down here too. It starts at like 60 degrees in the morning.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
85.
I'm sorry to hear
it's only
that.
33 in the morning here. It's all good.
Yeah,
no, but it's a different type of cold. Y'all don't understand. It's not that humid cold, so it like just chills right through your bone. Like it's different.
Yeah.
I'm from up north. You guys know this. Like it's different. Like 60 degrees up north, you're like breaking out the tanks. The shorts come out. Like down here, you're like, "Where's my hoodie?" It's cold outside. Heated seats are on. Like, it's different, man. It takes real quick for your blood to adjust too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, can't say I feel too bad for you.
Live in paradise,
Exactly. So I will be there. I'll be there tomorrow night, and maybe we'll cross paths, maybe not. But thanks for this collab. We had a great time with you. Maybe we'll chop it up, later on down the year. When you guys are picking top 5, you
guys will definitely be picking top 5. So maybe we will be. The NFC South that's still wide open. But good luck getting past Jacksonville and Houston.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens on Sunday. So
we'll see. I mean, Hey, my team's the Patriots. I'm picking top 5 for sure. Hopefully they're getting.
Not only do I feel bad for you because it's 60 degrees down there sometimes, but you are also a Patriots fan and just have only 6 rings. I know it's got to be a tough life for you. Yeah. 6.
And I got to cover Brady for a 7, so it's pretty
cool.
Cool.
Well, I think you sold your soul to the devil, and now you're going to be in the dark days for a while with those Patriots because they got bad fast, man. But let's not.
Yeah, you know what? The good news about covering the Bucs and having all sorts of other stuff going on is that I barely have time to keep up with it, so I don't have to relive. I don't have to live in those. I just look at the box score. Look at the writings from other reporters and say, man, I'm glad I don't have enough time to follow them like I used to because I'm in misery right now.
Yeah, I don't know what their problem is, but that's another topic for another day. Mac Jones stinks, and Bill Belichick just needs to go relax on the beach somewhere. Call it a day. I mean, come on. All right, well, it was great teaming up with you, JC. Tell us where we can find your work and,
Yeah, absolutely. You guys already know if you're watching the Pirate Parlay, you can find my stuff at JC Allen NFL. All a one-stop shop for Bucs if you want to know about what's going on with this team. Posts from the Bucs, PFF grades, all that fun stuff. You can find it all. Snap counts, all on my page. Find out my work at Sports Illustrated's Bucs Game Day. I have tons of articles coming out. We've got tons of great stuff coming out. Obviously, the podcast you're watching right now. Find me there and tell them where they can find you guys at, boys.
So you can find me at Lucky Lombardi, Jarett, J13foot. We are the Sick Pod Titans. You can find us on Twitter. Listen to us on YouTube, all the devices.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff.
All that good stuff. I think we're
Jersey Shore, wherever you
Jersey Shore,
Yeah. Now why'd you have to go there? That was just over the top, man.
Yeah, you do look a little bit like Vinny, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure you got that before.
I'm just a little better looking, but hey, a little bit. So you can find our work, Sick Pod. I think we're right under Joe Rogan right now for #1 in the world.
Yeah,
so
sounds good.
We got a lot of heat today. We had a lot of traction today on Titans Twitter.
Watch out, Pat McAfee. We're coming.
Yeah, that's.
You want got the best life in the world right now, man.
Yeah.
College Game Day, that his podcast. He's got the WWE. He's unbelievable, man.
American Nightmare, baby.
All right, well, we'll let you go watch Raw. That was Monday Night Raw.
Raw's on Monday night. There's no wrestling tonight, but that's going to do it for us here at the Sick Podcast Collab, Sick Podcast Network, bringing you the best podcasts around town. Got to check them out. I'm signing out here with JC Allen from Pirate Parlay. We got Jarett and Vinny from Talking Titans. They've been talking a lot. We'll see what happens on Sunday when Vinny comes to town with his Titans when they take on the Buccaneers. 3-5 teams looking for a win. Will Levis is the truth. He's a god amongst men, and he eats mayo and eats bananas with the peels on for a reason to give him those powers on Sunday. We'll talk to you guys later. We're out of here. Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.